Anne Geddes is known around the world for her whimsical photographs of babies we all know and love, but now she is turning her lens on the young survivors of meningitis as the global ambassador for the Protecting Our Tomorrows Portraits of Meningococcal Disease. And she is joining us today along with Dr. Paul J. Lee from Winthrop University Hospital. I want to welcome you both to our show. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anne, I'd love to start with you. You know, everyone is familiar with your iconic photographs of babies, but we are so excited to talk about now your latest project, Protecting Our Tomorrows. It's very significant. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
It's such an important project, and it's a global project which I've just completed of beautiful images of 15 survivors of meningococcal disease, and it's very much an awareness campaign. And you know, we want to get this message across that you need to recognise the symptoms of this disease, which hide behind colds and flu. And really, if you know your child better than anybody else, and so if you think it's something more than colds and flu, you need to jump up and down and get noticed. And you know, the most important thing is you may think your children are vaccinated for meningococcal disease, but there are 5 strains of this virus, and the B strain is not covered in the vaccination schedule. So please check with your doctor and make sure that your child's vaccinations are up to date.
And Dr. Lee, maybe you can expand a little bit on this, on what exactly meningitis is, how it works, and the symptoms.
Meningitis is an infection of the meninges, the protective membrane that covers the brain and spinal cord. So obviously it can have very devastating effects on the brain. It starts off sometimes very innocuously like the flu, followed by severe headache, unusual neck stiffness, and in meningococcal, you start to develop this dark purple rash over your body. Very unusual, very striking.
Wow. So Anne, you know, many people hadn't heard much about meningococcal disease, but it has touched you personally. How so?
It has. When I was first asked to do this series, I was a little taken back because I thought, well, how will I emotionally deal with photographing little 5-year-olds with no arms and no legs, for instance? But it was the most positive project that I've ever done in my whole career. But it was serendipity, really, because when my children were small, obviously I'm a mother myself, and there was a terrible outbreak of meningococcal disease in the community we were living in, and a little girl lost all of her limbs. Not much of an upside to that, except her family was so generous in sharing her story and their story, because the families are very much involved in the media and alerting other parents as to what symptoms to look out for. So I really felt it was terribly gratifying for me as a photographer to be able to go back and do this series of 15 survivors today, because they're really they're incredibly courageous kids, but they're beautiful kids as well.
I mean, the photos are just amazing, and we've seen some video as you guys have been interviewing with us, and I'd love to know, I mean, you portrayed them so beautifully. What was your inspiration and some of the challenges with this series?
Well, you know, one of the unique challenges that dawned on me right at the beginning of planning for this series was the majority of the survivors didn't have any legs. And so in a practical sense, I chose to portray them on pillars. I wanted to portray them as, you know, just beautiful, courageous young people from the 9-month-old all the way through 5-year-olds, 8-year-olds, teenagers who are of course in the target group, and that's what we want to highlight here. Teenagers sharing drinks, sharing all the things that teenagers share, college students. It's so important if your child is in this age group, please check with your doctor, and in particular about the B strain of meningococcal disease. It's such a terrible disease, and the symptoms come on so quickly and they're so devastating. So the best thing you can do, please everyone, go to Apple iBooks and download this book, Protecting Our Tomorrows. It's absolutely free. You can see the photographs of the survivors, but also read about meningococcal disease, read about the symptoms and what you can do about it.
Amazing. And Dr. Lee, I want to thank you both for being here and spreading that positive message with us.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.